Welcome back, everyone. Kind of an ad hoc recording because I'm still tired from the PQ yesterday. I had streamed it. I'm going to be editing those probably over the next few days because there's just a lot to go through. And it was the last PQ of season 0, at least for me. I don't think there are any more between now and Galactics anywhere, to be honest, but I'm not 100% on that. And realistically, it's the end of the season. So I figured it would be a good time to do some short thoughts. If people are curious about more things, feel free to ask questions. I could do follow-ups or whatever. I've been highly critical of FFG throughout the entire season, the entire rollout, and continuing, and I think all of them are still justified. They kind of tripped on their own dick every step of the way with every part of the process for PQs, sectors, and regionals. And yes, they did correct things. So to their credit, they are fixing things over time. But as I discussed with somebody yesterday, I forget who, there was talking to a lot of people. It's always good going to these events, and I always recommend people going out to them. Shout out to all the stores for going above and beyond and fixing a lot of FFG's problems. Not in all cases, not all the stores were great, but we can talk about that another time. The issue is that even though FFG is fixing things, that implies that there was a problem to begin with. And if if TCGs were invented in 2024, all right, I get it. They weren't. They were invented in 1993, and you can't tell me these people have never played one or been around one or are hired into a role managing one of the largest intellectual properties in existence with what I have to imagine is an incredible price tag. And it's just like, oopsie, well, this is our first try. I don't buy that excuse, and I think you got to kind of hold their feet to the fire because they are a business, and whether it is a genuine mistake or it is intentional malice, neglect, whatever, the reality is they're not going to improve if you don't tell them that something sucks. And I had a long tirade about this on a different topic, but a related topic. It's okay if you're okay with the current status quo and you think it's fine, but I think that people need to understand that just when you criticize something, for most, it's obviously not everyone, this is the internet after all, it's coming from a place of wanting things to be better, for things to improve. I mean, I always want perfection. Nothing will ever actually be perfect, but they can always get better. And I can absolutely understand budget restrictions, licensing restrictions, whatever. Reality is I know those are in place. That doesn't change the fact that their sleeves are crap. You know, like they peel constantly and fall apart, and they're way overpriced. And the little tokens and things are wildly unnecessary. The third-party stuff is always better and cheaper and what. And then the tournament rollout, melee, and the rule changes, and the balance issues, and this and that, and the list goes on and on and on and on. I'm not going to rehash everything. The bottom line is, I think it's okay to be okay with it. I don't think you should be, but if you are, all right, you're allowed to be that way. I think that it's important to continue improving. That's the bottom line. Now, as far as the season as a whole, I competed in, I think it was 10 PQs across the 3 sub-seasons. I don't know what to call it. 3 sections, whatever. Stages. And I top 8'd in each of them, like at least 1 event each season, 2 this season. 2 top 4s. Unfortunately, I didn't get my bye. I assume I will get an invite with a similar or even potentially lesser showing next year. I am going to Worlds, presumably all that. I know that there's going to be a sector or something there on Saturday. If I play in that, hopefully I'm still playing in the main event, but if I play in that, then that counts, and I hope the main event counts for points, whatever the point structure happens to be, for next year. Now, I think it is in their best interest for a number of reasons to have a huge event every single year. Maybe you restrict the main tournament for logistical reasons and for competitive reasons, but I think it behooves them to make it a celebration of Star Wars from a business perspective, to promote the game perspective, which also clearly is business related. And I think it would be healthier to do that. You know, like they're supposed to, apparently they announced just a few days ago that they're going to have an X-Wing and the Millennium Falcon cockpit replica or something. I don't know if they're going to be backdrops. like digital backdrops, an actual backdrop, or it's going to be like a physical thing. But it'll give people like, oh, look, I took a picture inside the Millennium Falcon or whatever, like fun stuff. And I think that's good and healthy, and it's important to have that stuff. And I hope that they do. I know I constantly see people, will there be side events? I mean, it's been clarified, but for a while, people were asking. It's like, yes, of course they're going to run side events. But the fact that people even have to ask is putting the idea out there that a lot of people aren't aware. And this kind of ties back to holding them to certain standards where if you aren't aware that, yeah, this is kind of expected, you don't realize it until you kind of got the first time. Not that it's a snake oil thing, but it's one of those, if you haven't been taken advantage of, you don't necessarily realize that you're being taken advantage of, or if you haven't witnessed someone else get taken advantage of. So it can be difficult to have that frame of reference. Overall, I think the rollout and the management needs a lot of work. I can't say that it was very good. Obviously, it was a disaster at the beginning. That got corrected. The prize support is atrocious, whether it was the particular promos chosen, it was the quantity of boxes and type of boxes. Honestly, now that Carbonite exists, they should be providing that to all the stores. The stores should not have to be selling out themselves to try and provide reasonable prize support for what is ostensibly an entire day event for the people that, even if you went 0-7, 0-8, whatever, and you stayed to the end, like, you should walk away with more than the participation promo. And that was my argument for Worlds too. Even though it's a competitive event, at the end of the day, this is a business and you want people to have a good time and you want to see the tournament succeed for a ton of reasons. And we could cover that in another video, but everybody wants all parts of the game to succeed because it helps all parts of the game. If you're not doing things to facilitate that from the first party perspective, why should the stores bother? Because you get on the nice list, like, who cares? So overall, I'm not really pleased with the way organized play was handled this year. I'm hoping that next year, now that they are officially rolling out whatever their vision was, because they always swore up and down that Season 0 was their test bed, which again goes back to, personally, I find it embarrassing that they have to do that, especially when they knew it was going to change. So if it's going to change and you already know what it's going to change to, just do it. There were clearly logistical problems that we weren't privy to. It's fine. So I'm looking forward to things being better next year. If Worlds maintains what it's providing, I talked about this in many other occasions, I don't expect that I'm going to be attending next year, qualification or not. It's a very expensive trip. And although I enjoy the game, I enjoy seeing people, I enjoy hanging out with people, I enjoy playing the game, as opposed to like just being around the game or whatever, I guess. It's a lot to ask. And it's disappointing to me that for the most part, non-showdown, non-PQ events have effectively died. I know Biattle is supposed to be happening again in the fall. Shout out to those guys. Definitely love that that's happening. But I want to see more than that. For the last 3 weeks, I've gone to PQs, and it was awesome. I loved getting up on Saturdays and then, all right, I'm going to a tournament. I'm going to be there all day, and I'm going to play. Well, I guess if I scrub out, come home early or something. But I loved being able to do that, and I'd love to be able to do that if there was more interest. But I think that a lot of the people who are playing in PQs are like regional. So you'll travel for the PQ because that's going to drive for Worlds or other events, whatever it turns out to be. But a 1K, 5K, even just a local tournament, you're really only pulling in the local players, and that doesn't seem to have percolated. Now, we'll see if now that a lot of those players, at least locally for me, have gotten a taste of what competitive play is like. They seem to have fun. Hopefully, they enjoyed it enough that they're going to want to do it again. Locals to me aren't as much fun. I like the higher level competitive stuff. It's definitely fun hanging out with people and, just kind of messing around, playing whatever. But I live for the competition. So I'm hoping that there's more stuff, more stores will support it. And I think that FFG needs to push that, because that middle stage where you're going to have the diehard competitors, they're going to go to Worlds come hell or high water. And then you have the casual players who are probably playing at home But that middle stage where it's your weeklies to below PQ events, yes, there's showdowns, but they need to do a better job of rolling out the showdown information. I've talked to a lot of store owners, and many of them have said, yeah, we didn't even get the information. You have to just blindly order it if you don't want to run it in parallel to PQs, which is a problem. I think it would be better to run them early for a variety of reasons. There's a lot of logistical things that it's just like, man, it's 2025. You're not a small indie company. And I don't want to crap on them for everything because, as I said, they are fixing things. But there's still a lot to go. And I can't help but shake the fact that it's kind of embarrassing that they even have to fix it. Like, you could have done this stuff right the first time. And that's what bothers me is I expect that of myself. I expect that when I'm doing my real life job. And I'm sure everybody else expects that, where it's like, no, if you're going to do something, do it right. Why are we fixing things 80 times? Why are we still discovering bugs in the tournament software? Why are we still without, and the list goes on, as I said. So I am looking forward to next year for SWU. I'm not super thrilled about how the next set is shaping up currently, but it's still early. Got a few more weeks before I got to get on that plane and hopefully not waste my time and money. We'll see. But if you're interested in more tournament thoughts or other ideas about what's going on, any particulars about anything, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to do more videos or talk to people individually. But that's going to do it for this time. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And tune in next time for more Randoms Thoughts.